Hello, my scholars. You are welcome to the educative Myschool channel, where we are tackling the JAMB CBT past question for the subject biology, the year 2020. Don't forget, my name is Abiola. Join me as we solve the questions for the year. Don't go anywhere. Stay with us because we will be right back. Welcome back to my school channel, and in this particular clip we'll be solving questions 21 to 40. So join me as we tackle question 21. The ability of the eyes to focus on both near and distant objects is termed what? This is termed accommodation. Okay, so that's the ability of the eyes to be able to focus properly without being blurry. Okay, both objects that are close or far, near or distant. So the correct option here is option D. You may ask, what is image formation? This is a compound word. Two words coming together, image and formation. That tells you in simple terms, okay, formation of image. Refraction is when there's a change in direction of a wave because it's moving from one medium to another, okay? We talk about hypermetropia. This is a condition of the eye, of an eye defect, okay? So here the eye cannot see close objects. Another name for hypermetropia is long-sightedness. So the correct option to the question given us is option D for accommodation. Question 22. A group of organisms of different species living in a particular area is described as a what? That is described as a community, okay? A community is talks about a group of population that contains at least two or different or more species, okay, living together in a geographical area at a particular time, all right? So this definition best fits for community. No, population is just number of a particular species in a particular place at a particular time. When you talk about niche, okay, niche talks about the role and position that an organism occupy in a particular ecosystem or in a particular environment, to be precise. So the correct answer to this question is option B for community. Question 23. The biological association that contributes directly to succession in a community is what? Okay, when you talk about competition shows you that there is a struggle, okay, for food, there's a struggle for space, there's a struggle for mating rights and what have you. So this has a direct influence to succession in a particular community. Talk about predation, you talk about prey and their predators, you talk about the hunted and the hunter, okay? So this occurs in a well-established community, okay? That shows you that there are different trophic level already being active. So talking about parasitism is this kind of association whereby there is an host and there is a parasite, so-called, and these parasites, they actually live off their host and they cause harm, okay, in the course of the association. Talking about commensalism, you know, okay, in this association, a particular organism stays around another organism, okay, to get food or probably to get support. Okay, so in this case, there is no harm done to the host or done to the particular organism that is the benefactor, okay, to use. So the correct option here is option A for competition. Competition is very correct. Question 24. Floating microscopic heterotrophs are mostly grouped as what? So it is very important that we isolate and properly define terms that are used in these questions, okay? So in this question, so we have microscopic. That tells you that something that the naked eye cannot see without the aid of a microscope, okay? So we have heterotrophs. That means they are organisms, okay, that depend on another organism for their food. So this being put together, we will see that floating, that is, they can swim or they have buoyancy. So floating organisms that we can't see with our naked eye, but also depend on other organisms for their food, they are mostly grouped as what? These are mostly grouped as zooplankton, okay? We can't use phytoplankton because they are autotrophic in nature. They are able to manufacture their own food. So even though they are microscopic, but they are not heterotroph. So they are being struck out because of the term heterotrophs, okay, or heterotrophic. So we have zooplankton. They are microscopic as well, but they depend on probably phytoplanktons for their food and other organisms. When you talk about microbes generally, they are living organisms around us that we cannot see around with our naked eyes, okay? They have both harmful and beneficial effects to us and to our environment. So microbes generally is just a general description that fits in for microscopic, but not for the term heterotrophs being combined. Okay, so let's go to nekton. Nekton just talk about animals that are able to have buoyancy, they are able to float or swim, okay, independent of currents or wave. Okay, example, you have your sharks, you have your turtles, you have your dolphins, we even have squids. Okay, so these are nektons. So this is completely out of it. We can see nektons with our eyes without the aid of a microscope. So though they are floating, though they are heterotrophs, okay, but they are not microscopic. So the option that fits into these three key terms, floating, microscopic, heterotroph, they are the zooplankton, okay? They float as well, they are microscopic, can be seen with our naked eyes, and again, they depend on other organisms for their food. So option B is very correct. Question 25. Vaccination is carried out in order to do what? Okay, so when vaccination is done, what is actually happening is they are introducing an antigen to your body. In simple terms, they are introducing a weak form, okay, or a killed form of that particular disease. They are trying to make your immune system well built against. Let me give you a very good instance. Like for instance, vaccination against poliovirus. Okay, so what they do is that in the vaccine it contains a weakened or a killed form or the antigen of that particular poliovirus. So the virus is near harmless or super harmless to your immune system. However, the presence of that particular virus that is being killed or already weakened, that particular antigen, okay, once it comes into your body, it's already weak. So once it comes into your body thinks that a kind of an attack is coming into the system. So what the body does is to produce antibodies to fight this antigen. So that is what vaccination is just like a dress rehearsal that is being done so that your body can build immunity against a particular kind of disease or a particular kind of infection, okay, from the outside. So going back to the question given us, we can see that vaccination is carried out in order to stimulate the production of antibodies when these antigens of that particular causative organism is being introduced into your body as vaccine. So the correct option here is option D. Please remember, with just a token of 8,000 Naira, you can get the Myschool tools, either the Myschool software or the Myschool mobile app. Remember, these tools are very wonderful. They are going to help you better prepare for your coming JAMB exam. So all you just have to do, you click on the link in the description below. It takes you to the Myschool website where we have enough guidelines on how you can get any of these tools just for yourself. So join me as we tackle question 26. For growth to occur in organisms, the rate of what should be in place? So we should know that metabolism, when that term comes out, metabolism actually refers to anabolism and catabolism. They are just the two sides of metabolism. So talking about anabolism, that talks about the body or a system trying to store energy in chemical bonds or trying to build larger molecules from smaller molecules just for cellular structure. It talks about building, while catabolism is the use of compounds, okay, breaking down of compounds to release energy. Okay, so this is storage of energy, anabolism. Catabolism is usage or release of energy, breaking complex molecules into smaller ones. So the correct option to the question that is being served is option A. Anabolism, that is the rate of building, must exceed or must be greater than the rate of cutting or pulling down. So option A is very correct. Please don't forget that you have to hit the like button, also click on the subscribe button and tap on bell notifications so you can get informed as soon as we upload the next video clip just for you. Question 27. The probability of a baby being a boy or a girl depends on the contribution of the womb. Okay, so at first we should know that for the mother's chromosome, okay, it's just the XX. It is the father's that this is the XY, so it is dependent on the father. So if the father donates X, the mother already is an XX, okay? So that gives you an XX, which is for female, and XY is for a male. So whatever the father sends out is what the mother combines with, and that's what determines the sex of the child. So the probability of a baby being a boy or a girl depends on the contribution of the father's sex cell. Option A. It is not the father's somatic chromosome. The somatic cells or chromosome, whatever you want to put it, they are all other cells of the body except the sperm and the egg cell. So this is completely out of the reproductive channel or system concerned in this question. So the correct option is it depends on the father's sex cell. Either it's pushing out the X chromosome or the Y chromosome to combine with the mother's XX. So the correct option once again is option A. Number 28. Both recessive and dominant characters are found where? Okay, they're actually found at the same locus of a homologous chromosome, the same identical location. Let's go to the whiteboard as we take some explanation on what this answer entails. Okay, so we know that inherited characters, okay, they are being determined by gene. Okay, very well. And for a diploid organism, okay, it has two sets of chromosomes which you can call homologous. Okay, so this is a chromosome, this is a chromosome. It has two sets of chromosomes, and those two sets, they are referred to as homologous. Now, for this kind of organism, okay, a particular character is determined, you know that it's determined by gene. And there are two copies of this gene for that particular character. It can be character of height, of size, of color, of whatever. So there are usually two copies of it. So these copies, they can be alternative form, which we refer to as the allele. So, or they can be the same form, okay? So you can see here I have capital T and small t. This is the T that is dominant for tallness. This is the T that is recessive for shortness. So there are usually two copies of each gene, and they occupy identical location on the chromosome. So you can see this is the chromosome, okay, and this is the locus. This is the locus, this square here. I'm just using a diagrammatic representation. So each gene, each copy of each gene, they sit on the same identical location of this homologous chromosome, and that location is referred to, if it is single locus, two locations, we refer to it as loci. Okay, so this is the gene. So that is the reason why we chose option B. So let's go back to the white screen, our screen, and select the correct option. So both recessive and dominant characters are found where? They are found at the same locus or the same loci of a homologous chromosome. Option B is very correct. Question 29. In a population of living things, the parameters of size, height, weight, and colors are examples of morphological variation. That talks about form and structure, that is determination of physical appearance, and all of these things deals with appearance. Okay, however, take note, we do not have morphological variation in the option given us directly. We have a physiological variation that talks about things that you can't visibly see, okay? You talk about behavioral patterns, ability to taste phenylethiocarbamide, PTC, blood group, and what have you. So this is definitely not what is being described in the question. So let's look at option A, continuous variation. Continuous variation, of course, there are things like this size, height, and the rest, okay? You can see them, and of course, in this physical traits or characteristics, okay, that can be seen, there is a contrast level, okay? They are extreme, okay? They are intermediate. So it is either you are, when it concerning height, it is either you are very tall, or you are short, okay? It is either you are comparing size, it's either you are fat or you are slim, okay? Comparing weight, it is, so there is always a contrast level, all right? So when you come to this continuous variation, this occurs due to mutation, okay, normally. And this kind of variation, although it is physically expressible, but there is no contrast, there is no intermediate, okay? There is no sharp, there's no way to say, okay, this one is quite moderate or this one is much. It is either it is there or it is not there. Like for instance, presence of earlobe or absence of earlobe. So it is either it is there or it is not there. So, but if you look at the metrics or the parameters presented to us, it is possible that you are either tall or you are short. Okay, it is either height, rather, for size, fat, or whatever color. You can be fair, you can be chocolate, you can be dark skinned, and what have you. So you can see there is a contrast. So this continuous variation is out of it. Physiological variation is out of it. Let's look at non-inheritable variation. That is not even what we are trying to pass on here. So the best option here is option A for continuous variation. Okay, it is something that there is always a contrast in this physical or in this visible trait. So the correct option here is option A. Question 30. Use a diagram to answer the question. Okay, the process of water loss and intake indicated by the arrows labeled I and II are what respectively? So at first, the arrow labeled I indicates the skin, okay? The amphibians, this is a frog, okay, in the question, in the diagram, it has a thin skin membrane, a permeable membrane, okay, that allows, this is for water loss. It actually breathes through the skin, and also it loses water and also take in water. They don't drink water, okay? They do exchange of water, liquid and gases also through the thin permeable skin, okay? So the process of water loss and intake through the point labeled high, that is through osmosis, okay? Thin permeable membrane, that is for I. Then for high points to the position of the lungs, okay? So the water loss is through exhalation, that is breathing out. So the correct option is option B, I for the skin, which is by osmosis. That is why they have to stay in moist environment to reload their water reserve in the system. Then we talk about exhalation, which is through the lungs, that leads through the buccal cavity, or you can refer to again as the nostril, or you can point to the nostril. So going back to the question given us, I indicates osmosis, II indicates exhalation. So the correct option here is option B. Question 31. The noticeable adaptation of the animal to its aquatic habitat is the possession of what? Okay, this is in reference to the previous question, question 30, okay? And at first, we identify the animal as an amphibian, okay? Possibly a frog because of the skin. It has a smooth and a moist skin. If it is a toad, the skin is going to be rough. So that justifies our reason for the identification as being a frog. So the noticeable adaptation of the frog to its aquatic habitat is the possession of what? Of webbed digits. This allows for faster and longer swimming, okay? Just like a paddling or the paddle stick for a canoe. So the correct answer is option A for webbed digits. Let's tackle question 32. Paternity disputes can most accurately be resolved through the use of what? Okay, through the use of DNA analysis. This is a very wonderful paternity test. Okay, what they just have to do is they walk into an accredited center, okay, and the doctor or the technician over there will collect sample from the cheeks of both the father and the child, okay, or the paternity dispute, whatever the parties involved, and they will run the test. They will just have to follow some procedures, okay. This is just the same as collecting blood samples. So the most accurate method that can be employed in solving paternity disputes is through DNA analysis. Option D is very correct. Question 33. Use the table below to answer the question. So we have the table, we have ecological zone, we have temperature measured in degrees Celsius, then we have rainfall in millimeters, okay? So we have the ecological zones, I, and IV, okay? Then we have the values attached to this matrix. So the question requires that the high relative humidity will be expected in zones what? So in which of these zones would you expect high relative humidity? So we should know at first that two main factors that affect relative humidity, they are temperature and water vapor, okay? And this is a very good one, that is rainfall, okay? So wherever there is high rainfall, okay, that increases the water vapor in that particular environment, and that also tells you that there's going to be high relative humidity. So if you look through all of these provisions, okay, you will see that the zone with the highest rainfall is this particular zone, and this zone, zone 3 and zone 2. Okay, then another factor too that affects relative humidity is temperature. Okay, so once there is increase in temperature, there will be a decrease in relative humidity. That means high temperature equals low relative humidity. Low temperature, okay, tells you there's going to be high relative humidity. So if you check out, you realize that the temperature for zone 2 and zone 3, they are quite okay. So they are not on the high side, the extreme, like the one located at zone 1, or on the lower side located at zone 4. So the most appropriate option where you have high relative humidity when you consider rainfall, water vapor, and temperature is zone 2 and zone 3. So the correct option is option B. Question 34. Use the table to answer the question. Which of the zones is likely to be a desert? So when you talk about a desert, you identify it with low rainfall and high temperature. So one zone that stands out as having these characteristics is zone 1. Okay, you can see the temperature at about 45 degrees Celsius, that is hot. Then you can look at the rainfall. It has the lowest rainfall in the column, okay, where it is being measured. So rainfall as low as 300 millimeters, then temperature as high as 45 degrees Celsius. So the zone that is likely to be a desert is zone 1 or zone high. So option A is the correct option. Number 35. When bacteria swims from cold to warm region, this is known as what? So swimming from cold to warm region, this tells you this is a positive kind of movement, okay? And cold to warm tells you about temperature difference. So you are talking about temperature. So the correct option here is thermo, okay? Positive thermotaxis, okay? Movement towards a region where there is heat or that is warmer. Okay, so if it is away from this warm region back to this cold region, that is a negative thermotaxis. If considering phototaxis, okay, that tells you about sensitivity towards light. That moving away from light, that is negative, towards light, that is positive phototaxis. Then you talk about chemotaxis, that's about chemical. Okay, negative chemotaxis means you are moving away from where there is a chemical presence, in simple terms. Okay, so the correct option here is option C. When bacteria swim from cold to warm regions, this is known as positive thermotaxis. Don't forget that you can use the link in the description below. It's going to take you to the Myschool website where our efficient solution providers are waiting to answer all of your questions. All you just have to do, you click on the link, and within moments, answers will be given or provided for the questions you have asked. So we are tackling question 36. The only caste in the termite colony whose members can feed themselves, they are the what? Okay, they are the workers. Okay, the workers actually have this enzyme inside of them that help them to digest cellulose. Okay, so they are the only caste in the termitarium, okay, that can feed themselves. The reproductive, you talk about the queen and the kings. Okay, the queen grows so big and she is so filled up with eggs that she can't move or even take care of itself, okay, that it requires the service of the workers to feed her from what they've regurgitated. Okay, likewise the soldiers as well, they are bigger than the workers in size, even from the size of their head, and you see their powerful mandibles or jaws. The same thing, the young nymph, they are the young ones, okay, coming up. So the only caste in the termite colony whose members can feed themselves, they are the workers. So option A is very correct. Scanning through all of our video clips, perhaps you see 1 or 2 points you would like to share with us, or probably 1 or 2 recommendations. Please, we would like to know. All you just have to do, you use the comment section below, indicate the question number and the explanation you'd like to share. Question 37. Which of the following is the best explanation for a child who is phenotypically short, okay, and born of 2 tall parents? Okay, so when you talk about phenotypically, that's, you are talking about physical appearance, what you can observe. Okay, so that child is seen as being short, but both parents are tall. So this tells you that there is a recessive gene, okay, present, okay, that is present in both parents. Okay, if it is just in one parent, because the gene for tallness is dominant, okay, while the gene for shortness is recessive, at least in this condition we are assessing. Okay, so that tells you that it is both present it is present in both parents, rather, because if it is just present in one parent, it's going to meet up with that gene, okay, of tallness, which is dominant in the other parent. So it has to be present in both parents. So the child is produced as a result of crossing from a heterozygous or 2 heterozygous, okay, parents. So the correct answer is answer A, okay, option A. Both parents possess genes for shortness. Option A is very correct. 38. Which of the following vertebrates has the most simple structured heart? So vertebrates have closed circulatory system, that is one, and we should know that this system, okay, has a distinct modification which starts from or begins with the simple one, which is from fish, then the evolution goes up to mammals. So going by the theories or going by the facts we just learned now, or we just shared right now, you will see that the fish has the most simple structured heart. So option B is very correct. Question 39. Use the diagram to answer the question. So this is a diagram. This is a rat, a rodent. So the type of protective adaptation exhibited by the animal is what? Okay, if we had concealing coloration, we would have considered that. But looking at the context of options provided for us, the very good one we can use is counter shading coloration. Okay, whereby on the dorsal parts, okay, you have a different color, usually probably a dark color. Then on the ventral side of the belly, okay, it is light color. This is prevalent in situation whereby light is usually coming from the top. Okay, you also observe this kind of coloration when it comes to fishes. Okay, so going back to the question given us, the kind of protective adaptation exhibited by this animal is counter shading coloration. So option C is very correct. Question 40. Use the diagram to answer the question. Okay, the structure labeled I is what? Okay, this is a whisker. Okay, and it's well referred to as a trident whisker. Okay, what it does is just it's sensory to touch. It helps them to navigate. It helps them to communicate with other rodents. This is a rat particularly around the area, so that probably to avoid collision, to get more direction. But it actually operates based on tactile. Okay, tactile, whatever thing that deals with touch, sensory touch. So the correct option here is it is not photosensitive, that is to light. No. Radiosensitive, radioactivity. No. Chemoreceptive, that is probably to smells, to odor. That is the function of certain cells in the nose. Okay, so it is actually well responsive to tactile whatever. So the correct option here is option D for tactile. So the structure labeled I is tactile. We've come to the end of the segment for the subject biology, the year 2020. But there are more video clips for other years and other subjects to come. All you just have to do is to stay attached with the Myschool YouTube channel. Kindly hit the like button, click on the subscribe button, and tap on bell notification so you can get informed as soon as we upload the next videos.